Again, happy International Students Day. We are spotlighting the Asia Pacific region. We just concluded a very thrilling and engaging forum that involved Papua New Guinea, Nauru, Tonga, Fiji, and other persons who viewed from the Pacific. But now we are in Asia and we are with two student leaders from Brunei. I am the chairperson of the CSA. I feel especially privileged to be joined by these two student leaders, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Ambri.
Hello everyone, my name is Amri Nazri and I'm the current president of University Brunei Darussalam Student Association, colloquially known as PMBD. I
Thank
might
you.
now pass it on to Zo.
Yes.
Hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Zohair Yusuf bin Benedict, and I am the current Chief or Executive of International Affairs and Student Ambassador in.
Thank you. Thank you, Zul. So, Brunei Darussalam. Confirm that I've pronounced it correctly, especially the
Yes,
last
that is correct.
time I discovered this country. I
Mhm.
learned about your, should I say, monarch? Is it correct
Yes,
to
Yeah,
call Sultan of
correct.
Brunei monarch? So, I
Mhm.
mean, all over the world, people are just amazed at the Sultan. But now we get to talk to the students and hear from you your perspective on life in Brunei, education in Brunei, and we're going to unpack some other things about your country. Tell us about Brunei, the population, the location, the ethnic makeup. Tell us about that.
I think let's start off. We are a very small nation located in Southeast Asia on the island of Borneo. In terms of political wise, we're an absolute monarchy with, yes, the Sultan. Um, in terms of population, again, since we're a very small nation, we have not even half a million, we're around 450,000 people. Um, the main language in Brunei is Malay or Bahasa Melayu. It's used in all official statement, official documents. However, English it can be used and it's considered a secondary language in Brunei. Other than that, we also have Chinese and Tamil, and then also very small ethnic languages in Borneo spread around here and there. In Brunei, we also have four districts. So the capital is located in what we call Brunei Muara, followed by Tutong, Belait, and Temburong. Uh, and then other than that, Brunei is mostly known for oil and gas as its main economy. Uh, Yes, oil and gas. We have Shell here, which is a corporation with Brunei LNG and the Dutch company Shell. Mm, anything to add, Zul?
I think besides that, we are located at the Southeast Asia and surrounding our country in South China. It's also located at the center of Borneo Island and hence why it's titled the Heart of Borneo. And I think to add on to the language, what as per mentioned by Amri earlier, we have the official language of Malay, and we also have a philosophy that we live by. We live by the philosophy of what we call here MIB. In English, it's Malay Islamic Monarchy of Way of Life. Besides having Malay as our official language, we have Islam as our official religion, and the monarchy system is how we live by in our country. That's pretty much.
Zul's connection is a bit unstable, but you seem to be back now, Zul. Repeat the you said the slogan that you go by or the motto that you go
Oh,
by.
we live by the philosophy way of life of having Malay Islamic monarchy. So besides having Malay as our official language, we also have Islam as our official religion. And in this country, we live in a monarchy system. So we have our own system in Brunei.
And help me understand the system. Is it a ceremonial system, or does the monarch actually have power to govern? As in Britain, the British monarch doesn't really govern. They're symbolic. Does the monarch in Brunei actually deal with executive functions, governance?
Yes, he is considered the head of state and the head of government. Other than the Sultan, he's also the prime minister of our cabinet, and he is also the minister of finance and economy, minister of defense, and minister of foreign affairs.
I see.
So he is essentially the head of Brunei Darussalam.
I see. I see. I see. Do you know if he was at the last Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which was in Rwanda?
Uh, I'm not quite sure. What was it about?
So the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting is held, I believe, over 2 or 3 years, and it's where all the heads of government or their representative gather to decide on the common agenda for Commonwealth member states. So there are 56 member states in the Commonwealth, coming from Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, Europe, and the Pacific. And last year, it was held in Kigali, Rwanda. Yes, the time before that, it was held, I believe, in London. Yeah, but that's a side point, just curious. So you attend one of the major universities in Brunei. Tell us about your tertiary institution and tell us about education in Brunei.
Yes, in Brunei we have four main universities. Our university is University Brunei Darussalam. It's our national university. Along with that, we also have three other universities. The second one is University Technology Brunei, which focuses mainly on engineering. The third one is UNISA, University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali, which is focusing on religious Islamic curriculum and law. And then the fourth one is KUPU-SB, which focuses more on becoming a teacher. And then other than that, we also have two other systems, which is considered higher tertiary education, which is Polytechnic and IBTE, which are both also considered technical institutes. But they're all in the same level, though, like in universities, we offer degrees, but in the technical institute, it's diploma. And then once they graduate, they can continue on in universities.
Is tertiary education free or do students pay?
Yes, it's free for local students, but there are certain criteria where you have to, like from high school, you have to pass like a Malay, our national language, which is part of in high school. I think in the UK it's IGCSEs, but in Brunei we still use what's called O level, and then so you have to pass our national language Malay to be eligible to for the what we call as scholarships for universities. But generally, it's I would say that the margin to get it is really high. So essentially, it's free for local students.
Okay. And maybe Zul, tell me, do students get to choose what they want to study, or are they streamed? Do students have academic freedom to choose the pathway that they want?
It primarily depends on their results also. If they manage to achieve a very excellent result, then, for example, in their secondary school, some students have the option to choose between going through the science stream or also the art stream. And then further on, for example, for students that want to extend their studies to higher institutions, they have more options if they have excellent results, of course. So for those who wanted to pursue the course that they wanted, of course, they have to achieve a very good result.
Understood. Well, I mean, free education, the tertiary level in any country is a very good sign of good governance, if you ask me. Tell me, so you are a part of the Students' Union at your local campus, which again is a major university. I know that Brunei does not have a national student organization, but you did say in another conversation, Ambry, that sometimes the campuses will have activities together. Is the student voice valued in your country? Are you able to talk to other stakeholders? Do they listen to the issues that you're having? Do you have access to particularly the government, the Ministry of Education? What is that like coming from the president of UBD, Student Union?
I would say yes, because although we don't have a national student union in Brunei, we do have what is called the Youth Council Brunei Darussalam, which is once again not really focused on students, but it's like a range of what in Brunei we consider youth, which is around from like 18 years old all the way until I believe around 30s. But I think every year they have what's called a youth town hall, which is when I believe, because I wasn't there last time due to another event, but that's where the time where all the youth come together and address any problems that they have they have concerns with, as long as like what the youth council will be planning for the entire year. So any concerns and then will can be brought up, and then usually because all our universities have their own student associations, we are invited to attend. And if we have any concerns, because although the Youth Council Group is not a government institution, it becomes like a middle person between us and the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Youth Culture and Sports, essentially. So I would say we do have a voice to address concerns when we have minor problems, but of course it has to go through within the university itself first. Like for example, in our association, we have what is called the annual general meeting, where
Yes.
students can step up and voice their concerns within the university itself, and then we'll try to fix it. But sometimes not all the problems are directly addressed to us. Sometimes it's addressed to the university administration or how the grading system and so on and so forth. And at that time, we relay it to them being part of their voice.
Thank you. Tell me, the PMUBD page on Instagram, is that the student page or that's the university page?
That's the student page.
So you guys manage that page. I mean, I looked at it and I saw all the amazing activities that you do to keep students engaged, from sports to cultural representation. That's amazing. How do you balance all of this? Because you're still students and then you're student leaders. How do you balance it all?
I would say it depends on communication, because once again we are students, but at the same time, as because PMUBD, our association, we have what is called the Student Representative Council, which manages the student association, and there are 17 of us, 17 members. We have the Supreme Council, which is top six, which is me, the vice president, the secretary, the deputy secretary, and the treasurers, as well as the 11 other executives. And once in a while, we'll do I wouldn't say monthly meetings, because sometimes once again there are times where we can't find a slot for all of us to meet. But because we have 17 of us managing different activities and so on and so forth, we have essentially like what do you call this? Like we have like clubs under some executives, and sometimes they give us ideas and then we try to put it into action from our level.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome back, Zul. Zul, I don't know if people realize just how much work students who actually offer themselves to represent and serve in the capacities that you do, how much work you have to put in. Because here you have your main field of study, but then you have this responsibility that you've taken on. Give some tips to the student leader out there. Today's International Students Day. You know, how have you managed to balance it all?
I think for me, I don't exactly have a schedule, but I would recommend students to have their own set schedule for what they can do. For example, some students that I know, they can arrange like their afternoon time would be for their education, and then their evening would be for their non-academic activities. Those are usually, from what I heard, for students.
Yeah, good. So do you think that organizing a national student body would be relevant in Brunei?
For me, I've talked it over with Amri before. Like, I suggested and questioned like if there was ever one, and then he told me there was one, but then the thing is it doesn't have that much recognition as far as I'm concerned. But in my opinion, it would be good to have a place where the student bodies and student associations of each university to have one where they can share a space, and just for them to communicate with one another and share their experiences, and maybe share the flaws in their system probably, and share the advantages of what they have actually. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Permit me to ask probably an uncomfortable question, but other persons who will listen to this may think it as well. When I think of a monarch, I get a little bit nervous. And when I think about the place of students living in a situation where, you know, you essentially follow a certain order because you live in a monarchy. Brunei is not the only country, there are other countries. Do you feel free enough or comfortable enough to put this on the table, or do you think it would be shut down because of your political system?
I would say it's very much possible. However, because yes, we are in a system of monarchy, there are certain protocols in order to do it. We can't just directly say or like uprise that we want it. It has to follow step-by-step approvals from like where we are as a student, and then probably a higher level from us, and then higher and higher, and it might take even months or even years for approval, because because everything goes up from our position, and at any moment it can go back. Like for example, we send in like the proposal, and then at any level it could bounce back to us, and then we had to start from scratch, and then it goes again step by step back up until each department, each level of ministry agrees with it, and then before it's presented, and then if it's really approved, and then it really is such a like you really need a lot of support for it, and a lot of why do we need it, and it's not just like one union's idea. It has to be a lot of support for it, but generally it's possible. It's complicated, I would say.
I believe I follow. I mean, when you see uprisings and student protests in other countries, what do you think? Do you think that would never happen here? Is that what you think?
I wouldn't say it wouldn't happen. I would just say it's quite a bizarre situation here, because like I think when we were young, ever since we're young, we're taught to respect people. We're taught to be in line with whatever we're in line with the rules. So in a sense, it's never really built in us uh to be not really outspoken, but I say it's like better to just follow protocols in a sense.
But let me tell you, for absolute clarity, as a policy of advocacy, we prefer dialogue in the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth Students Association. We prefer going to the table, having conversations. We don't encourage protest and strike and violence. Absolutely not. But what we strongly believe is that in every country where there are students, their voice should be included in the decisions that affect them, particularly decisions that concern education. And we're very firm on that conviction. Yes. Tell me about student safety and security in Brunei. That's an important issue for the CSA, and we will be doing a number of activities in the coming months around that. But give me an idea of what student safety and security is like in Brunei.
For me, I would say it's generally safe. It's never a cause of concern for many, especially even when it's in terms of like women's and girls' safety, because Brunei, although we're not crime free, we have very low crime even at night. Like for myself, I actually live on campus in UBD in the dormitory, and even at night there will be like girls walking here and there around the campus, and they will have like no concerns at all, because even in UBD itself, we have security that roam around the campus at night, even though we're not really a 24/7 hour university, but we do have like community its own residence community that lives there, and generally there's no concerns with regard to safety. So, any comment?
For me, even in UBD, of course, there has been cases where the students don't feel comfortable, and for usually these activities, they tend to report it to the security in UBD. So, and as far as I'm concerned, the security in UBD are very quick to respond to these actions, and they're very quick. So it's very, for the students, even though they feel not so comfortable a lot of times, the security is always quick to take actions.
Well, what about the policy or the government in your country do you think has enabled this kind of safe environment? I mean, this is extremely good to hear that as two students and student leaders, you feel safe on your campus. You feel that there is generally safety for students and the population, I suppose, in your country. But what do you think has contributed to that?
I would say it's like the way we are taught, because generally we're not I think even since we're young, we've always been towards being fair. We don't really have any discrimination of any sort in terms of gender. Like even right now, our Minister of Education is a woman. It's the first time, but generally there's no against it in a sense. I would say it's not really a big issue in Brunei. Of course, there are like small like opinions regarding it, but generally as a society, it's not really such a concerning issue, I would say.
This is good. This is good. I mean, do you have many international students?
Oh yeah, we have a lot. We have mostly from Africa, and then from China, from Japan, from Korea. There's a lot of international students.
Excellent, excellent. And in your experience, how well do they assimilate and get in the mix of things?
I think yeah, our biggest challenge will probably be the language because sometimes in Brunei we're often too used to speaking Malay that sometimes they might feel left out. But I think that they really assimilate Brunei. They really like Brunei because whenever we ask them what they like about Brunei, they say it's really peaceful compared to other countries. Because in Brunei, we're not really a bustling country where we have like traffic every day, everyone's busy. Like even our capital city, it's really quiet at times. And then it's to them, it's such a bizarre experience. It's like it's like being, I guess they say like in a very quiet country, I would say.
Yes. Well, I'd like to hear from each of you. If you were to be Minister of Education for a term, what would be your priorities? Mark, so far, it sounds like you guys have it all good. I don't know what more you want. You feel safe and you have free education, but your views and issues are always valid. So let me hear it. What would you do if you were a Minister of Education for a term?
Uh, for me, I would say focus more on mental health probably because in Brunei and in a lot of Asian countries, talking about mental health is a taboo because it's not really something you would address upon, especially even within families actually. It's not really a topic you would discuss. I think it's, but then again, like as students, sometimes we experience stress and then sometimes we don't have anyone to talk to. And I think like a lot of students are built to just keep it into themselves because it's such something, it's become a stigma here. But along this past few years, the government has tried to destigmatize it slowly by slowly, because even in UBD, they're trying to implement what's called in Malay Rakan Umat, which is a counseling sessions between students because sometimes students they don't feel comfortable talking to lecturers about their problems, so they're introducing a program where they can talk to other students first. Of course, the students will be trained first before they could allow it, and then essentially be there to support them, especially in academic.
Mental health. And so you're proposing what activities to address mental health?
I'll say like although this isn't a new activity, it's kind of old, but I would say make a lot of more sharing sessions between the students, especially students within the same faculty, because I remember like when I first came into UBD, there was a sharing session, but it's not really celebrated in a sense. Like not a lot of students are participating because once again, it's like a taboo among students to not really discuss it. But then I see even in social media, a lot of people are addressing it and like making people more comfortable talking about their mental health, their problem. Like it's okay to express things out. It's okay to help support. It's okay to seek for help even if you want, even if you think no one will care. And slowly I would say it's working out, but I hope it's the program that EPD is making right now will be successful.
Thank you. Thank you. I may come back to that mental health point. Zul, Minister of Education for a term. What's your mandate?
For me, the basic one would be making it accessible for everyone to have the basic needs like being able to read and write. And another, probably expanding and offering opportunities for students beyond their theoretical abilities and understanding. For example, mostly in Brunei, they are focusing on subjects like theoretical subjects like mathematics, sciences, and Malay languages. But some students, they don't do quite well in academically. So some students may do well practically, like doing practical works, for example, in beyond academic, like
Yes.
entertainment and musics
Yeah.
and theaters, those type of things. So this, in my opinion, should also be prioritized because some students also have their place in the economy, but it's quite bad for them not to have that ability to express it at that very young age. So that's pretty much from.
What about vocational skills? Are those skills provided for and promoted? Skills like carpentry, masonry, plumbing, welding.
Yeah.
Those are skills that
Those are also, practical skills.
But I'm asking if currently your country makes adequate provision for students who want to pursue these skills.
I think most of those skills aren't exactly popularized here, but it is seen as something non-academic, and it's not offered exactly in school, but they have it in secondary school, I think, which is design and technology, if I'm not mistaken. So they also have that, but it's not that centralized. It is offered as an optional subject.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about soft skills like communication, leadership?
Those are also in the non-academic activities for their co-curricular activities, and this is probably mostly focused on after their secondary school, for example, in their sixth form. Only then the students will be exposed to this type of activities.
But do you as student leaders feel that the students who are graduating leave with competent soft skills? That's something the CSA has been talking a lot about. We know we leave with the degree and the hard science skills, but being able to communicate effectively in the workplace is a major issue for employers. Is that something that you have observed in Brunei?
Yeah, I would say yes.
It really depends on,
So
because some students have, all students mostly in UBD, they have that ability and they have that access to this type of soft skills. They can learn based on these places. Like in PM UBD, you have student bodies and also clubs that offer this type of soft skills, but it depends on each student if they wanted to pursue those skills and if they wanted to put themselves in those places. But for some students that don't, then it's a shame for them.
Mm-hmm. 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 There is a stereotype, Ambry, which you sort of hinted at, of Asian students and how seriously they take academic life and how that affects their mental health. Is that the case in Brunei? Are you guys very serious about academics and very competitive? No?
I would say yes, because it's something that's really stressed upon when we were younger, but it
Yeah.
kind of does like dies off a bit. Like the pressure gets released once you get older, once you reach this point. But even at this point, some of the students have been embedded for so long to stress on academics that sometimes they will ignore the non-curricular stuff. Like I would say like the opportunity is there, but it's not being taken most of the time. And like even some are forced to take into a career path that they might not even want. Like some of it are like not forced by their parents by young, but after like a certain point in uni, when they're given a decision, they don't know how to make decisions after that because they've been dictated for so long. But but in university, I do also see because I think in UBD, it's like the choices are suddenly given, and some students do break out of that stereotype like, oh, we're finally given choices what we want to do, because for so long they've been told what to do. But then unfortunately also most of them are stick to just being academic, because even in UBD sometimes our campus is very quiet outside of lesson times, and it's very obvious, even though we try to make as many activities as possible and we try to gather as many bigger crowd every activity, which is working. I would say post COVID, of course, because in COVID we had to limit the numbers, but we are trying to make the campus more livelier. But other than that, yeah, most even our like administration says a lot of students just come to university to study and then go back, which is I would say is an issue that we're trying to fix.
Yes, yes, because we not only learn from the formal education, but what takes place outside of the classroom, the informal exchanges and non-formal learning opportunities. This
Yes.
has been a very enlightening conversation. I really have a sincere curiosity about your country. And I hope that the CSA, in planning the Year of Youth Tour, will be able to join you in person to meet with you as stakeholders and other stakeholders in your country as we promote the student voice and as we unify students across Commonwealth. Now, I have something I'd like to ask you to do that I didn't prompt you before. I would like you to leave your closing remarks in your preferred language, whether it's Malay or the other tongue that you mentioned. So whatever it is that you'd like to say in closing, whether you want to leave a message for International Students Day or a message to the students of Brunei, something, anything that you want to say as we close this conversation, I'd like you to render it in your local tongue.
Untuk pelajar-pelajar di Brunei, belajar bisa-bisa, tapi jangan terlalu stres lah. Kalau dapat, ikutlah semua aktiviti yang ada, ambil peluang yang ada, jangan belajar saja. Kadang-kadang belajar pun boleh membuat kami stres. Jadi itulah ikut aktiviti yang ada, cari peluang yang ada, jangan ditolak tuh peluang-peluang tuh. And insyaallah semoganya akan berjaya. Zul?
Well, before Zul, you need to tell me what you said.
In general, and to keep it short, I said for the students in Brunei to always take opportunities and don't just shy away from all those opportunities that are given, because they are there for their future and for them to gain better experience.
Excellent, excellent. Zul.
Kepada para pelajar UBD, jika ada masalah berbunyi-bunyi, jangan keep it to yourself and teruskan perjuangan anda dan teruskan usaha anda di UBD lah. Basically what I said is continue working hard in UBD.
Nicely done. Zul Ambri, thank you so much on behalf of the entire CSA team. Looking forward to our continued collaboration. And let me also hasten to say, I look forward to being connected. The CSA looks forward to being connected with your successor, because we don't want our engagement with Brunei to end when the student changes. We want to have a long partnership. Thank you very much. And until our next CSA Fireside, take care.